Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Alright, AEW World's End. Just finished it up earlier today. Figured I'd do a little review of what we watched. Overall, fantastic show, top to bottom. I know when I did the preview, I was a little off on picks. I was completely off on the Continental Classic. I missed all three of those. Overall, I was 5-6 of the 11 matches that I picked. There was two buy-in 0-hour matches that I didn't know was going to happen. So, but in the overall show, besides the Continental Classic, I was 5-3, so that's cool. I missed all three of those. But yeah, overall, top to bottom, great show. I love the new champions that we got with MJF as the world champion, with Jon Moxley, the Continental champion. That's kind of unique for me. We had a couple of retains there. Kind of watching this face turn of Jon Moxley is kind of different. And the Death Riders not being this kind of heel team, it's kind of different as well. It's kind of, let's see where it goes kind of deal. Alright, we're going to start with the 0-hour, 4 matches total. First match was the Sisters of Sin, Julia Hart, Skye Blue, taking on Hyan and Maya World. Just a good little tag match. I know the Sisters of Sin are probably going to be the number one contenders for the women's tag titles as they progress in their kind of tag team career here. Sisters of Sin got the victory. I ended up giving it 2.5 stars. A little 6-minute match to kind of start things off. Next up, we had Liverpool's number one, Zack Gibson, with his tag partner James Drake at ringside, taking on Eddie Kingston. This match literally started as a chop battle with these two, which was kind of comical to watch. And you had James Drake getting up on the ring apron with the scarf and kind of strangling Eddie Kingston. You had both of them. Then you had I can't talk today. And then you had the referee not see all that. Then Eddie Kingston goes on to win the match. And then you had GYV at the end attack Kingston, Grizzled Young Veterans. And then you had Ortiz come out with the sock and the ball. And it's like we haven't seen Ortiz in a year. Don't know where he's been. But Eddie Kingston got the victory over Zack Gibson. 3-star match, 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Then you had the beatdown. You had Ortiz come out. So we had Ortiz and Eddie Kingston kind of against Grizzled Young Veterans. So we'll probably see that a little bit going forward, which is kind of a cool thing to see. I don't know where Ortiz goes. I know when him and Santana were together, they were a pretty dominant tag team. But with Santana off doing stuff in TNA, don't know what his contract status is, if eventually he's coming back. He's turned into a main event guy at TNA, so we'll see. I think Ortiz kind of doing stuff with Eddie Kingston would be fun. Maybe something with Kingston and Ortiz against Moxley and stuff. Because of their history and whatnot. But we'll see what happens there. But Eddie Kingston get the victory there. Both of those matches on the preview I talked about and got both of those matches right. Next match was a tag team match. We had Bandido and Mascara Dorada taking on the Don Callis family, Mark Davis and Rocky Romero. Overall, good match. This is another one of those kind of buy-ins as you're walking into the arena, getting your soda and your hot dogs and whatnot, and kind of, this match is on, cool, we'll watch it, Because you're getting settled in the arena. 7 minutes and 30 seconds. One of the big spots was Bandido did this kind of spinning crossbody onto Davis and Romero. Other than that, solid match. Bandido and Mascara Dorado getting the victory and then giving it 3.25. And then the fourth and final buy-in 0-hour match was an 8-man tag. JetSpeed, Kevin Knight, and Speedball Mike Bailey taking on Jurassic Express. Jack Perry and Luchasaurus that was a team. I said versus. They teamed up versus Josh Alexander and the Demand, Bishop Kaun, Ricochet, and Liona. This match started out before the match even started. As they were coming out, you had Ricochet attacking Jurassic Express and Jack Perry. Ricochet took out Jack Perry with the National Championship on the ramp. The Demand literally beat down Luchasaurus, took him to the back. They come out, match starts 4-on-2. Perry's laying on the ramp. Luchasaurus is in the back. He comes out all bandaged up, ends up getting in there, kind of doing the whole little face roll with Jurassic Express and JetSpeed. They ended up getting the victory. I ended up giving it 2 3/4. To me, the way it started kind of took a little away from it for me. It was like it was a 9-minute match, but it was like for the most part it was 4-on-2, and then Jack Perry got in there, then he was down. The source came back out. It's like just a lot of things going on there. I am giving it 2 3/4 star. And then we start the card with Suzuki Okada versus Konosuke Takeshita. How many pay-per-view cards start with a match to that level? Not very many. So it was semifinals of the Continental Classic for the AEW Continental title. Wow, what a match this was. Both guys did the whole, we know Okada gets him against the rope, and he goes and backs up. You had Takeshita do that first, and then you had Okada do it. And then you had Takeshita just flying all over the place. Takeshita went for the knee in the corner. Okada moved. And, Takeshita hit that corner hard. And then you had Okada, when he does the Rainmaker pose, going like this. It's like, okay, it's kind of getting old. The whole, bitch and that flipping the finger is kind of getting old there for Okada. But now he's part of the heel Don Callis faction, so I want old Okada back. I want the New Japan Okada back. Where he's not with Don Callis, where he goes out there and just wrestles. He's not this trying to be heel guy, just this face of the company. Maybe put the world title on him because he is fucking good. And then do him and Takeshita for the world title. Have Okada beat MJF for the title. I'd be completely fine with that. But this match, having Okada heel and getting a screwdriver out of the turnbuckle and hitting Takeshita twice with the screwdriver and then getting the victory off of that, it was kind of like, it's kind of a letdown for me in the match. I didn't give the match 4 1/4. 17 minutes and 17 seconds. Again, 2 of the top talents in AEW. This needs to be for the world title. Hopefully we get there with it. Next up was the other semifinal match, Jon Moxley taking on Kyle Fletcher. Fletcher had Mox in this kind of reverse Indian deathlock. And, he was just Fletcher was going after Mox's knee. He was stomping on it. He did that reverse Indian deathlock. Mox went to do a dive. Kyle Fletcher got out of the ring. Mox went to do a dive through the ropes. When he did, he hit his knee on the rope, and he hit it kind of coming down hard. So he was favoring that leg the entire match. Fletcher hit this brainbuster on the ring apron. Yeah, it hurt me watching it. Fletcher ended up bouncing his neck off of the table, or on the ring, the back of his neck on the ring. It's like, oh man, a couple of these spots, like, whoa, these look just wow. I know a lot of people hate watch AEW, which whatever you want to do, you do. Do you, man? But if you're going to come here with comments, you're going to post any comments on my video, if you're going to hate watch, don't even worry about it. I'm only talking to actual AEW fans. Yes, were these spots incredible? Could somebody have gotten hurt? Definitely somebody could have gotten hurt. But, AEW's never had a wrestler die in the ring. WWE has. So let's, this whole WWE safe, they're not. Any wrestling is, does AEW wrestlers take it a step further than WWE? Yes, they do. Does WWE put a stop on how the wrestlers wrestle? Yes. Sometimes, I'm sorry, but WWE looks fake. AEW looks like, oh, that hurt. And so it's like, when you slow some of these spots down, they don't look as crisp to me. And that's what WWE does sometimes, which is cool. It's safer. I understand it. But if the men and women at AEW want to have matches like this, okay. If the men and women at WWE want to have matches like they do, okay. I watch them both. I don't try to compare them both. I watch WWE for WWE. I watch AEW for AEW. I know what I see on this show for AEW, I'm not going to see on WWE, which is fine. What I see on WWE, I'm not going to see on AEW. That's fine as well. But yeah, these spots were big. And it looked like he could definitely get hurt. But Mox, favoring that leg, was able to get the choke out of Kyle Fletcher. He didn't tap out. He passed out. So I know the crowd, you tapped out to him. Yeah, he passed out. 23 minutes and 33 seconds. I give it 4.5. That was probably match of the night. Yeah, I think that was match of the night, which is not what I was expecting out of Jon Moxley, but the cheers that he's starting to get and kind of that face side of Mox is kind of unique. I mean, just a year ago, he had the plastic bag on Bryan Danielson's head, and people were booing the shit out of him. Next up, the AEW World Tag Titles on the line in the Chicago Street Fight. I mean, okay, Bang Bang Gang. So we had the FTR, the Tag Team Champions, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood, with Stokely taking on the Bang Bang Gang of Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson. They all started fighting in the crowd like you do for typical street fight. Chairs, trash cans, typical street fight. Dax came off the top rope and landed on Juice's knee. They had a fire extinguisher. Stokely obviously got involved. He tackles the referee to keep him from counting. Juice hits FTR with chair. Juice ended up pushing Stokely off because Stokely was on the ringside. Juice pushed him off, and there was a table there. When he hit the table, he kind of just rolled off the table and then right into the announce table. So it's like, that looked like it hurt worse than going through the actual table would have. I was worried for a few moments there. I thought Bang Bang Gang was going to win this because there's a couple spots. It's like, oh, okay, let's kick out of that. I don't think they are to the level yet to put tag titles on them, which obviously the AEW did not do that, so that's good. We had a retain by FTR, which is what I said in the preview as well. 16 minutes and 58 seconds, 3 3/4 star, really good tag team match. Obviously, if you look at the history of AEW, there's some just absolutely amazing tag team matches. This was probably, if I had to guess, top 15, top 20 tag matches in the pay-per-view setting, which before Revolution in March, I'm going to do a best of AEW pay-per-view in 2025 and the best all-time. Do that right before Revolution as we count down to Revolution. Next up with the AEW Women's Tag Titles on the line, we had the Babes of Wrath. Harley Cameron, which she's still kind of green in the ring, and Will Nightingale, which I've been a fan of hers for years, way before she came to AEW, and taking on the forever Ring of Honor Women's Champion Athena, and then the AEW TBS Champion Mercedes Moné. This match actually took me kind of one of those, I wasn't expecting this. Harley Cameron doing a double crucifix on both Athena and Moné, that wasn't believable to me. Willow powering out of I call it the bank statement, but which was actually pretty believable to me because she's pretty powerful. And just watching Harley Cameron do some of the stuff she was doing was kind of like, what? Huh? I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad, but this match was 13 minutes long. We had some dominant spots there. You had some dissension between Athena and Mercedes Moné. And now you remember the Babes of Wrath beat Athena and Moné back in the tournament to get to the championship. And so having them be the champion and now defending the titles versus Athena and Moné and then retaining their first defense, I think that was big for Will Nightingale and Harley Cameron as we build them up as a top tag team. I'm assuming Sisters of Sin will be their first matchup after this. But overall, good match. I give it 3.5. So just good tag team match. Wasn't anything spectacular like, oh my god, match of the year, no. But they talked about all the awards that AEW won from Sports Illustrated, which was kind of cool. I mean, honestly, but how much wrestling do they actually watch? Not saying that other wrestling is better than AEW, but I just think some of these non-wrestling things kind of only probably watch TNA, AEW, WWE, and you kind of got a very small sample size. But I'm glad they won all the awards they won. Next up, we had Gabe Kidd taking on Darby Allin after pushing him downstairs. And just everything that Gabe Kidd has done to Darby Allin, it's like, He ended up pushing him off the apron, and Darby hit his head pretty hard. Darby is just insane. Gabe got the steps out and ended up catapulting Darby into the steps, and both of them are just bleeding buckets. I mean, literally, as they're in this match, there's pools of blood all over the place. I'm like, there's having blood in the match, and there was what this was. This was just insane. I didn't think the spots really called for what they did. It wasn't like it was, a death match, and they had all this other, plunder out there that caused all this. But this was like, it was some plunder, yeah, but it was supposed to be a standard match, so it's like, where's all the blood coming from? Why? Why are we bleeding so much here? Darby ended up missile drop kicking Kid off the top rope, which looked pretty freaking sick. There was still blood on one of the later in the show. You could still see blood on one of the ring ropes. So yeah, this match was as bloody as hell. They got it all cleaned up for the most part. But Darby Allin getting a clean win, I thought was kind of shocking. I actually thought Gabe Kidd would win. I thought Death Riders would come out, but they didn't. So it's almost like with Mox in this Continental Classic, when I mean, as we all know he won, but it's kind of like they're turning Death Rider's face. But it's like, where's Gabe Kidd fitting that? Because Gabe Kidd's kind of in heel. So I don't know how this is all dynamic's going to work. I know Clark Connors' contract with New Japan is up first of the year. Does he show up here and do something with Gabe Kidd? Or how's all that going to work? We'll find out. But Darby Allin getting the victory there, and Gabe Kidd, I give it 3 3/4 star. Next up, we had the Mixed Nuts Mayhem 8-man tag. Really? We had Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Suarez, Daniel Garcia, Maria Shafir, and Wheeler Yuta taking on Roderick Strong, the Collaboration, Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Timeless, Tony Storm. The only thing about this match really was you had a lot of men versus women, which is something you definitely don't see in WWE. And I'm not putting down WWE. I'm just saying there's a lot of times they have mixed tags. You never see that. And the independents, you do see that. So the AEW is kind of that mesh of mainstream professional wrestling and the independents. And so when it makes sense, yes, I want to see that sometimes. But, when we consistently have women attacking men, but the men can't lay a hand on the women, it makes no sense to me. But having Claudio do the spin with Timeless Tony Storm, that was kind of different. Having Marina Shafir, hitting doing Orange Cassidy. Oh my God. Cassidy gets to put his hands in his pockets. Marina puts her hands, literally mirror of each other in her back pockets. She starts kicking him like, his big kicks. And it's like they're doing it back and forth at one another. So it was like, it was kind of cool, but it's like, kind of like, again, the Death Riders are coming off face to me here. And so it was a fun match. It ended up lasting 12 minutes, 24 seconds. Like I said in the preview, Tony Storm, Roderick Strong, and the Collaboration getting the victory. I ended up giving it 3.5 star. Next up, we have the AEW Women's World Title on the line. Champion Chris Statlander taking on Jamie Hayter. They talked about Chris Statlander's knee injuries and how she missed like 600 days since she's been with AEW. But again, has been one of the top women's wrestlers in a number of matches. Hayter comes out just on fire. Top rope, drop kicks, the whole 9. Chris did this spinning powerbomb off the top rope. When Hayter came down, it looked like she hit literally the base of her neck on the ring. And you could hear the entire arena go, even watching, I'm like, whoa, rewind. Because I wasn't watching it live. I'm like, what? It looked like it gave her a stunner for a second. It's like, whoa, that could have easily gone really bad. But Hayter doing clotheslines, and after that spot, Jamie Hayter looked legit pissed. I don't blame her, but it looked legit like that move kind of was botched a little, and so Hayter was like, oh my God, you botched it, you could hurt me, F you. You could see a little harder kicks, you could see a little just more on the face, kind of like, I'm going to get you for that. But, obviously they fell in, to continue what they were doing. Chris Statler ended up getting the victory. The match itself lasted 18 minutes and 7 seconds. I ended up giving it 3.25. It was good. No, sorry, 3.5. It was good, but it wasn't over the top good, if that makes any sense. I think without that spot, 'cause that spot kind of took away from it for me. Probably would have went 3-3, maybe 4. But that spot kind of took away, and it looked like it kind of took Jamie Hayter out of her, what she was going to do, and kind of frazzled her on it, and kind of made her mad. Chris Statler retaining that AEW Women's title. Next up, we had the finals in the Continental Classic for the AEW Continental Championship. We had Jon Moxley take on Kazuchika Okada. Okada was dominating the first part, and then Mox was kind of playing up the leg injury. Mox hit the got stop pile driver on Okada. Then you had Okada kind of like trying to figure out what to do next a couple times, to me at least. Then you kind of had him you could see it's like, okay, we should be here, we're doing this. And they just kind of went about the match itself. But overall, I thought it was a really good match. One thing I forgot to mention in the Kyle Fletcher match against Mox, Fletcher went looking for the screwdriver in the turnbuckle. Okada had taken it during his match when he hit Takeshita with it, and then threw it under the ring. Put it in his tights and threw it under the ring. So when Fletcher went looking for it during his match against Mox, he couldn't find it, which you could see that was kind of like, oh shit, now what? That was my, plan to get past this, and that's how I ended up losing to Mox winning. But going to this match and having, after 20 minutes on one side, I love how these Continental Classic matches are 20-minute matches, and the semifinals and finals were no time limit. You had 17-17 for the first one, 23-33 for the second one, and then 20 minutes and 1 second on the finals. And it was during the tournament, it was 20 minutes. And having Jon Moxley beat Kazuchika Okada, who is the leader in tournaments, it seems like, and putting the title on him kind of was like, whoa, that's different. I'm kind of, interested to see where this goes. But a 4-star match there for Jon Moxley and Okada. Moxley winning that title. Obviously, there was some confusion with some people online. The AEW Unified title was the International title and the Continental Classic title wrapped into one. When they had this Continental Classic, Okada gave up the Unified title, kept the International title, and then the Continental title was on the line. So now that Mox is Continental Champion, the Unified title goes away, and you have Mox as the Continental Champion, you have Okada as the International Champion, kind of like the U.S. title and the IC title in WWE. And so it'll be interesting to see Okada when he defends that International title and watching Mox defend the Continental title. Are we eventually going to do a title versus title match with these two and have the Unified title come back? Or are we going to leave them separate for now until next year when we have the Continental Classic? But I do like these tournaments, and I kind of like the G1 in New Japan and stuff. And I actually wish AEW would do something like the G1, where you have it where maybe Double or Nothing's one of your bigger pay-per-views, or you do it at a different time or something, maybe All In, where you run it like a G1 type, and then you have the match at, say All Out, and it's for a title match at All In or something like that. That way you kind of have that build up, kind of like the Rumble is for Mania kind of deal, but kind of do the G1. Sometimes the G1 winner in New Japan will go on to Wrestle Kingdom and battle for the title. Kind of have that for the world title, and kind of have that kind of build up. So maybe you have a month or two in between. So if, like right now, MJF is your champion, well, he knows he's got Okada coming up in 2 months. He's got to face Paige and Strickland now, but he knows he's got to face Okada. I think that would you got more to build to. I think that would be kind of cool to do. I know a lot of people don't like these tournaments, but I actually do. These round-robin tournaments. And if you follow New Japan Pro Wrestling, which I do avidly, the G1, Best of Super Juniors, the Junior Tag Tournament League, this World Tag League, And that's kind of where Okada comes from as well. So that's, when they talk about him being the king of tournaments, that's kind of why. Then our main event was the 4-way for the AEW World title. We had Maxwell Jacob Friedman versus Adam Page versus champion Samoa Joe versus Swerve Strickland. Whose house? Swerve's house. This match, to me, was short. 20 minutes and 32 seconds. It actually, sometimes I hate Fatal 4-ways, and I'll tell you why. Because you had them all four start in there. You had Page go over the top rope on the Joe. You had Joe and Page in the ring, just two of them. Then they end up going outside. Then you had MJF and Swerve in the ring. And then Swerve does the flip out on the MJF. Joe does a dive on both of them. Page does a moonsault on both of them. And you kind of, sometimes you only had like two guys in the ring at a time. So it's like you had two guys taking a break, two guys in the ring. It's like, if I want to see just four guys wrestling, you can only do 2 and 2. But it's like, if you're going to do that, maybe do it in a cage or do it, it's a ladder match or something. I think once you get into 3 and 4, sometimes it takes away from the match unless you're going to tag in and out. Other than that, it was a great match. Hangman, he ended up doing his freaking buckshot lariat. Instead of going out in the ropes and coming in, he actually flipped over Swerve's back and then buckshot. Watching Page and Swerve work together and then kick the shit out of each other, then work together, kick the shit out of each other was just second to none. And then toward the end, obviously you had the Ops come out. Samoa Joe, the leader of the Ops. They ended up attacking Swerve and Page on the outside. Joe hits a muscle buster on Page. Page kicked out, and just the look on Joe's face was like, oh snap. People don't kick out of this very often. Hangman, 2 buckshot lariats, could not take Joe down. Goes for a third. When he comes in, he went to do the buckshot lariat, and MJF walked up and just kicked him where the sun don't shine. Page just drops. MJF pinning Adam Page to become your new AEW World Champion. I saw some stuff online complaining about this already. Well, he was champion 400 some days the last time he had it. Yeah, good for him. It was fun, people. Let's see. Let me take a look here. Yeah, 406 days the last time he had it. Cool. Punk had it for 3 days. Joe had it for 113 his first reign. Swerve 126. Mox 273. And then Joe just had it at 35. I want to see a long title run. I want to see him get, 8, 10 title defenses. And maybe run to All Out. Or hell, run it for the whole year. Pull what they, WrestleMania 4 and 5. Have freaking the champion run it for a solid year and he loses it next year at World's End. That would be just epic. But we'll see what happens with that. But our next pay-per-view will be at Revolution there March 15th. We know Dynasty is going to be April 12th. More than likely, we will have Double or Nothing come on the 23rd or 24th of May. So we know kind of when the next 3 pay-per-views are going to be. And then we know All In is going to be at Wembley on August 30th. And then we're kind of building each pay-per-view, but also building toward that. If I had to guess, I would say we get Ospreay MJF, if not before All In, at All In. But yeah, it's fun to watch it. Just watch AEW and kind of see what these guys and gals go out there and do. These people that hate watch AEW and are just the biggest WWE marks in the world. WWE can do no wrong. AEW can do no right. Here's my advice to anybody that doesn't like AEW and you watch it just to hate on it. Don't waste your time or your money. If you watch AEW, you need to only, when you're watching an AEW match, do not try to compare it to WWE or TNA or GCW or New Japan. Compare it to only AEW. When you're watching WWE, don't watch a WWE match and go, well, if AEW does, they do this. No, you only need to worry about the company you're watching. Here's why they're all a little different. New Japan is different than AEW, which is different than WWE, which is different than TNA. Yes, the TNA, NXT, WWE style is similar, correct. But doesn't mean everybody needs to be like that. AEW does not need to be WWE 2.0. They need to be themselves, and they are doing that. And I think 2025 was a good measuring stick of what AEW can do. Been a fan since day one. I watched the first All Out. I knew first All In. I knew that first All In, more than likely, this was leading to something. Didn't know what at the time, but when we saw the January 1 video with Paige and Rhodes and the Bucks, we knew what. Okay, this is what it led to. We knew we would be here. Professional wrestling needs multiple companies on top. The WCW, WWF, ECW was there. They need the WWE, the TNA, the AEW, then they have the indies. The independents are only as strong as the top companies. And we're losing 2 independent companies first of 2026. We're losing Prestige Wrestling and we're losing Deadlock Pro Wrestling out of California. Both Tier 1 companies, but we're losing those. So that's 2 less spots that these independent guys can go wrestle at. So the stronger the top companies are, the TNAs, the WWEs, the AEWs, the better the independents are going to be. So it's just what's best for the whole pro wrestling business is these 2 companies being as good as they should be. I think AEW already is. I think WWE is. I think we can just build on this in 2026. But that is AEW World's End Review. As always, thanks for watching Average Sports Show. Don't just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Average Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channel content.